Welcome to this public hearing of the Columbus City Council's Health and Human Services Committee. I'm Councilmember Priscilla Tyson. I chair the Health and Human Services Committee. Before getting started, I want to make everyone aware that this hearing has been recorded for rebroadcast on CTV, the Columbus Government Television Channel 3. The rebroadcast schedule is at www.columbus.gov. The purpose of this afternoon's hearing is to share with the public information about the programs and services provided by various social service aid programs that have been recommended to receive grant funding in the 2019 Human Services Grant Program. In November of 2018, the city issued a RFP for 2019 through 2020 for Human Service Grant Review Program. 44 social service programs have been recommended to receive funding. This is a second of two hearings providing an opportunity for representatives of the programs to share information about their services and how they will benefit the residents. I also asked the organizations to share information about collaborations with other agencies and funding partners. Many of our city residents enjoy a high quality of life. However, even the greatest cities have challenges, and we need to make sure that our residents have the resources and services that they need to improve their lives. To address issues that the city residents may experience, it takes the commitment and collaboration of many partners working together. This afternoon, we'll hear from social service programs who are doing important work in our community to help people in need. Over the course of the two hearings, all of the programs recommended for Human Services Grant Program funding will have testified at a public hearing. Approximately half the organizations presented yesterday, and the remaining organizations will testify today. After our guests have testified, we will entertain testimony from members of the public who have submitted speaker slips for this hearing. I also want to acknowledge many organizations that were not selected for grants that have contacted our council offices. There are organizations that are offering critical services to residents that may not be funded by the city because of limited resources. To provide some context, the city received 142 proposals requesting approximately $20.5 million in funding, and there is $4.5 million in grant dollars available to be awarded. Now, you will hear that there are $5 million because there are some additional dollars that we hold back to help with emergency funding, et cetera. I do want to stress that we take the relationship with our social service partners seriously and will continue to work together to serve the residents of the city. And before I have Director Shoney make his comments, I'll make a similar comment that I made yesterday, that, as you've heard, there were $20 million in asks. Of that $20 million, $4.5 million have been suggested to this council to fund the people that are in this room, and there are also people that were in the room yesterday. Those people are organizations that you work with each and every day. And in the human services world, many of you work together to partner to do your services. You generally don't do them alone. And when I review this information, I review the information for today's hearing, many of you are in collaboration with others. And so as Michael Corey from the Executive Director of the Human Service Chamber spoke yesterday, but I have to also make this comment. There's $20 million worth of needs that were asked for this specific type of funding that the city is recommending, 20.5, which means there are many organizations who are doing great work that are not being funded. These are people you work with every day. It is imperative that the human service organizations come together and begin to share with elected officials, business people, put a plan together of the needs of this sector. It is imperative. The same issue, when we were looking at affordable housing and people came to talk to me, I said to them, you are the experts in this area. Come together and bring a proposal to the city. And now we know how many affordable housing units we need, and people are focusing on that work. This has to happen. There are more people in need. So I'm sharing that message because as I thought about today when I reviewed this list for today's speakers, there are some new people on this list, and that's part of the competitive process. But the program that we had previously was people got funded for 4 years. They were doing good work. It's not that they weren't doing good work while they're not getting funding. It's just, it's part of this competitive process. But what I will share is that why this is important that you come together, because for those individuals who were not in this list this time, 2 years from now, if we don't have more money, you may not be on the list again. And what's happening is people are getting comfortable with those amounts of money. And it is important to get that money to do your work, but you can't get complacent. That's the message. You can't get complacent. So with that, I'm happy that you're here. I'm always happy to be around human service organizations because of the great work that you do, and that's so critical to moving the other third of our residents forward. And so I am now going to ask the Director of Development, Director Steve Schoening, whose department was really responsible for moving this initiative forward. He will talk about the grant process. Many of you know Kim Stans, who's certainly been involved in human services for quite some time. He's a coordinator of the human services grants within the Department of Development. And so Director Schoening and Steve will certainly, if Kim wants to share some today, but certainly Director Schoening will now make some comments. Director, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. Thank you for your continued advocacy on these issues. I think I was a little remiss yesterday in not also thanking Nicole Harper on your team for her help in participation through the process with us and as part of the review committees. Nicole has been a great help to us through the process, so I wanted to make sure to call her out and thank her. You covered a number of things about the history of the program and the funding levels, so I'll talk just a little bit today about the process. This year, the city partnered with the United Way's online grant portal system in an effort to reduce the burden of our application process. The request for proposals was issued in November of 2018. We held an informal training session on the portal system and the RFP, and we provided an orientation to our Mayor Ginther's vision for this year's round, which is economic security and resilience for all. Through targeted investments, we are building the capacity of nonprofit organizations to provide individuals and families with access to education, training, living wages, higher paying jobs, financial wellness programs, and supports to maintain stable housing and income. Within that overall vision, our investment priorities for 2019 are income through employment, job quality, education and training, financial capacity, and stability and resource supports. As you outlined, we had a number of applications. We had a committee of 22 individuals representing the city, county, Ohio State, the Columbus Foundation, and the community to evaluate proposals based on our focus on economic security and resilience across 20 different criteria. We will have 41 agencies that will administer we are recommending 41 agencies that will administer 44 programs to the council. For grants totaling $4.5 million. This commitment, as you said, is for 2 years of funding. Fiscal year 2019 will be for the first year of funding. That's all my comments for today. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Madam Chair, or answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Director Schoening. I do not have any questions. We'll now begin with speakers representing programs and organizations throughout the city. Please be advised that you will have around 3 minutes to present your testimony for each program that you will be covering. And before concluding your remarks, please provide details about how residents can sign up for your services. And you will begin to see your names on the television, on the monitors. And so as you see your name come up, get ready to move right after the speaker that will be at the podium. So our first presenter is Michelle Moskowitz-Brown, and she is the Executive Director for Local Matters. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Councilmember Tyson. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm Michelle Moskowitz-Brown, Executive Director at Local Matters, where we're focused on food education, access, and advocacy. Last year, we reached 22,000 people of all ages and backgrounds. Our program builds skills and knowledge around healthy, affordable food so that everyone has the resources they need to eat well and feed their family. Specifically, our Cooking Matters program engages adults and families in conversations and hands-on activities about how to plan, shop for, and cook convenient, healthy meals on a budget. This empowerment of helping people eat healthfully on a budget is essential to combating food insecurity and improving health outcomes, which disproportionately affect people of color and lower-income people in our communities. It's also important for improving economic stability. We do this work through food specifically, but it directly connects us to the other important issues in our city, including transportation access, affordable housing, chronic disease, sustainability, early childhood education, and economic development. Rugi, a recent Cooking Matters graduate and new American from Mauritania, shared an example of how the program supports resilience and improves conditions of families. Rugi learned about our program at a local food pantry, and following completion of the course, she said that Cooking Matters had tremendously affected her family, helping them make healthier choices and educating her on how to eat well on a budget to prevent certain diseases that are linked to our food choices. She felt that a healthy and balanced diet was the best way for her and her family to stay in good health. To deliver this program, we essentially are a mobile kitchen, and we partner with organizations such as the Mount Carmel Healthy Living Center in Franklinton, OSU East on the east side, Community Development for All People on the south side, Columbus Public Health, the NEMAP Food Pantry, and many others. We receive financial support from this program from the NiSource Foundation, Harry C. Morris Foundation, the Reinberger Foundation, and others. The $30,000 that we requested from the city and the Human Services Grant Program in particular is crucial to the success of our work and our partner organizations' work as well. We're committed to working with the City of Columbus to build communities where individuals and families have access to food, education, living wages, healthcare, financial wellness programs, and those supports that they do need to maintain their stable housing and income. As demand for these services increases, I thank you, Councilmember Tyson, for your remarks earlier today, and note the importance of collaboration and hopefully also the importance of increasing funding as much as we can to meet with the current need that we're experiencing in our community. And Local Matters is continuing to strive to help people with resilience, with their ability to increase their economic and food security, and also fostering connection through food. And as we do this work, we look forward to working with all of the organizations in this room to strengthen our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle. I just have one question. So you mentioned you've served 22,000 people, but for this particular grant, how many people do you believe you'll be serving?
Yeah, there'll be 540 individuals that will receive direct and indirect service, and that comes out to about $50 per participant. And I didn't mention that you can sign up for our classes on the website. It's pretty much, the upper left-hand corner to sign up for any classes, and then also through those community partners, through the healthcare system, Ohio Health, the Healthy Living Center. Anyone who goes there or potentially also gets a recommendation from their doctor can get access into the programs.
And wouldn't be any cost for the person because of this money?
Correct. Because of this funding, and actually across the board, we do not ask our participants ever to pay for classes. The only exception to that is a sliding scale at our center down on the south side, but essentially there are free spots in those classes as well.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Brown. Thank you for also being one of our board members on our Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Action Plan. Thank you for your leadership there also. And this grant amount for Cooking Matters is for $30,000. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is Margie Pizzuti. Good afternoon, Margie.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson, and words of deep gratitude for your steadfast and passionate commitment to the health and human services sector. You have been there all the way, and we really appreciate your advocacy on our behalf. I know that both the mayor and you as a city council member and other council members have consistently emphasize that family stability and neighborhood resiliency are the cornerstones of making sure that every individual in this community has an opportunity to thrive. The programs at Goodwill promote individuals' economic mobility through career skills training, sustainable employment, and opportunities for career advancement that leads to financial stability. This investment of the City of Columbus will allow us to bring a diverse range of services to the South Side through our partnership with the Reeb Avenue Center. Our programs are person-centric, fully aligned with the city's priorities in providing skill training, including work readiness and occupational skills, credential training, and financial coaching. It goes beyond just a living wage job by aligning training with local in-demand positions, such as healthcare and IT, allowing individuals to set themselves on a pathway to a career and a living wage jobs through stackable credentials. And again, our focus is really, we're sector focused on IT and healthcare, and we're place-based. And that's why getting into the neighborhoods like the one on the South Side in the Reeb Center is really important. Goodwill's Career Pathways program provides life-changing employment training opportunities, and I know you're aware of that. Sustained employment and good wages are the bedrock of family stability. We specifically, our programs include goal setting, obtaining access to transportation, financial planning, and child care resources. We're working in a person-centric way to make sure we're addressing all the individuals' needs so that they can succeed in their workforce training. We work with individuals to build the soft skills that makes or breaks anybody in a job, but particularly developing a leadership mindset, communications, teamwork, goal setting, problem solving. Again, it's the hard skills and the soft skills. On the hard skills side, we know that digital literacy today is absolutely vital to obtaining and keeping a job. And so we're training in navigating a computer, effective email communications, productivity software, including Google Docs, slides, and drives. Things that are really common to us, but really need to be reinforced with the individuals that we're serving. So we have some terrific financial partners. United Way, the U.S. Department of Labor, Nationwide Children's, Fannie Mae, Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities, the Huntington National Bank, J.P. Morgan Chase, many other corporate supporters, Franklin County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and the Franklin County Department of Jobs and Family Services. We have an enormous amount of partners. You said so earlier, and this is really important. Collaboration is an imperative today. We need to leverage each of our respective resources. Many of the individuals and organizations in this room are partners with us. Community Development for All People, the Mid-Ohio Food Bank, the Human Service Chamber, Alvis, Franklin County Jobs and Family Services, Jewish Family Services, Columbus State Community College, and the Franklin County Child Support Enforcement Agency. Those are just some of the many partners that we work with to leverage all of our resources. We also work closely with the Urban League and Godman Guild. Contact information, I've got it here, and we have our Community Engagement Coordinator, Sherry Josie, and Jennifer Gary, if you can wave your hand, our Director of Workforce is here as well, and she and her team, in the spirit of It Takes a Village, are doing incredible work for us. So we plan on serving 450 individuals. 100 of those will go through our boot camp, our soft skills boot camp training, and we're hoping that 80 individuals will be receiving IT or healthcare training, and 55 will be securing credentials. Thank you.
Thank you, Margie. Thank you. I want to be clear. So 450 will go through boot camp, and then you're saying 80 individuals will. Could you share that 80 individuals?
Yeah, 80 individuals will be trained in IT or healthcare. So there's a range of courses that they can take. And then 55 of those 80, so they'll be trained generally in healthcare and IT, 55 of those individuals will actually secure a credential, at least one. And then we'll continue to work with those individuals as they're placed to secure additional credentials so that they can have those stackable credentials that will allow them to advance and earn more money.
Okay, so the 450 in the boot camp. So
Yeah, we'll
450
serve 450 overall.
overall,
And
and
a-
other 450, 80 are going to get the IT training, and
Yes.
55 are going to get, the 80 will get credentialed.
Right.
And so the gap between the 450 going through the boot camp, so what happens to those individuals between the 450 and the 80 that get the IT training?
So we're continuing to work with those individuals that get the general training. Some of those individuals, quite frankly, will move in to hospitality as an option, in training in hospitality. As you know, there's a career path. 72% of hotel motel managers started in housekeeping. And so we'll move those individuals on that pathway. We'll continue to work with those individuals on their soft skills. We'll work with those individuals on mock interviews. And so of those 450 individuals, a percentage of those we'll be continuing to work with to improve their skills and get them in a position where they can be competitively trained and placed. And so we don't anticipate all 450 will necessarily go through the boot camp or go through the IT or healthcare training, but we will be serving 450 individuals in a number of different ways that relate to workforce.
And so I just want, for the viewing and listening audience, so I just want to make, because there's a huge gap between the 450 and the other numbers. And so I think it really is important, one, to share with the individuals who are also coming through your organization so that we have an idea. And that, again, the boot camp, people could go to other areas, because the important about this is that we're looking at workforce development, getting people ready to go to work. And so of that 450, and maybe we don't have to talk about it all here, we can talk about offline since other people are waiting, but it is important to be able to have a breakdown of what's going on with the other 400, the gap between the 450 and the 80 to then the 55. So just that gap, I would like to just get more information.
Okay.
I'm looking at your Director of Workforce Development, because she could probably provide us with that information.
Yeah, we'll do a more detailed breakdown so that you're clearer on the 450, what their total service to those individuals, and how we'll be preparing them for work.
That's excellent. And and can you just share the last thing about just wages? So individuals who may be coming out, getting these credentials in IT and healthcare, is there an average wage that individuals are making from your program?
The average wage is $15 an hour.
Excellent.
Some of those individuals, while we all know that's a really good goal, that's not necessarily a living wage, $15 an hour. Mm-hmm. Our goal is to help those individuals secure additional credentials so that they can increase their hourly rate beyond the $15 an hour. You know, IT and healthcare positions can pay as much as $16, $18, $20 an hour, and that's what we want to do, is move those individuals on that pathway. But the average will be $15 an hour.
Thank you, Margie. And I know you've had a lot of success, so
Thank you.
I know I've asked a lot of questions,
Nope.
but I want to be able to make sure that our viewing and listening audience, have a good picture of the work of Goodwill, but I also want to make sure that I'm sharing. I know you've had a lot of great success,
Great.
and I thank you for that.
I appreciate the questions.
Thank you. And so her grant would be $146,658. Thank you. Our next speaker is going to be Mr. Robinson, who is the founder and executive director of the Halt to Violence. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. All right. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Tyson, for having us here. We're located at 2291 Cleveland Avenue, and we have flexible hours. And if we're not there, you can call us at 614-302-1640 because we're all about serving the community. So our numbers will probably be 52.
Program first.
okay,
Tell us,
okay,
the viewing and listening audience, tell me about the program before you, I know you probably were listening to me asking Margie. I don't want to get anybody upset. I'm going to ask a few numbers, but that's,
I had some coaching from Kim, so. Our core program is violence intervention. So we have boots on the ground that engage with these drug dealers, gang members, and we talk to the shot callers to prevent murder, shootings, and fights. And so when we do diffuse these situations, we have to give them something to look forward to, which is employment. So the second core of our program is employment. So we have cultivated relationships with employers in Central Ohio that's willing to give our participants a chance, whether they have a felony or not. And so we provide them with interview clothing, help them with resumes, do mock interviewing, and we provide them with daily bus passes up until they get their first check, because we know that transportation is a huge barrier. So the only thing they have to show when they go to an interview is their personality. And we're not saying that the job that they get has to be their career, but it can be a stepping stone to where they're trying to get to.
now you can tell me some numbers. Okay.
So because we asked for 60 and you gave us 15, we would say 52 individuals will get employment, but that's just a lowball number because we're targeting the individuals that's in the street, but the door is open for everybody that coming through there. But that's our target, because if we get these teens and young adults that's in the community that's doing illegal activities and get them employment, then the violence will continue to decrease like it has been from last year, from 2017.
So have you been, this is a program that you've already been,
Yes.
that's already in existence.
Yes.
And how many, what's the age group of the people that you're serving, and how many people have you served in the past?
Last year we served 77. Our lowest youth was 14 years old, and we had a adult all the way up until 40 years old, I believe. So we don't put our participants in a box of numbers, because whoever wants that help, we're going to help them.
And again, and I see that have you worked with Judge Jameson?
Yes, that's where I just came from. We're a community partner to help people get employment through her Compass program, so they won't have to go to jail, so we can get them jobs so they can pay the child support payments.
Okay, so you work with Judge Jameson, and then in the community, you have people just know about your organization. How do you recruit people to be a part?
We got our new spot, which is right there in Linden, June 18th. So we've been doing billboards, radio advertisement, marketing material, but just getting that word of mouth out there, working with Mr. Pace at Linden Recreation Center, Mr. Bland at Linden High School. So just really being connected with those heavy hitters in the community so we can do what we got to do for the community.
Okay, so this is a new program. That's why I'm asking a few more questions. And tell me, so Mr. Robinson, tell me about a success.
Employment or violence? Well, I guess employment, because we're here for employment. We had a young man.
Tell me a success. It
Okay,
could be
yeah, that's cool.
employment, violence.
November, he came in, he was destroyed. His girlfriend reached out to me through LinkedIn, and he has a felony past, and used to be involved in gangs, and was just really ready to hit the streets again. And so we really had a heart-to-heart, and long story short, this young man is now working through a contracting to do construction, and the person that we had connected him with got fired from the actual person, but because this person was doing so good, he got right in, and now he's on a whole nother level. Now he's recruiting workers and stuff like that. He comes back to the agency when he needs people and stuff like that, so he's no longer thinking about even entertaining the streets, and so I would definitely consider him a success.
All right, Mr. Robinson, thank you for coming and sharing, and your grant is for $15,000.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see who's here. Afternoon, Ms. Wright.
Good afternoon, Councilwoman Tyson. How are you?
I mentioned that my colleague, Councilmember Emmanuel Remy, is in chambers for the hearing. Thank you. The floor is yours now,
Councilmember
Ms.
Remy.
Wright.
My name is Tiffany Wright, and I'm here on behalf of Hands On Central Ohio. A cornerstone in the Columbus community, Hands On provides a single point of access to Columbus's Health and Human Services Response System. Thanks to our partnership with the City of Columbus, we are able to provide a single 3-digit extension, known as 211, free of charge to Columbus residents. 211 is recognized in Columbus and similar communities as the critical first link to programs and service interventions targeting basic human needs and social determinants of health. As an outcome, I'd like to share a story about an elderly resident who called into 211 recently to illustrate the value of 211 as a city resource, as told by one of our information and referral specialists. A 62-year-old client called in desperately looking for housing. She explained that she had been through a lot of trauma in her life and was in the process of being evicted from her home. I could hear the fear in her voice about what might happen next and how she would get by. She said, "You know, I never imagined my life like this. I used to work a really good job until my husband passed away, and I got very sick over the years. I suffer from COPD and high blood pressure, and I'm really just looking for some help. My children are grown with their own lives and families to care for, and I didn't want to call, but I'm just really desperate and didn't know where to turn." With empathy, I told her that I know it takes a lot for someone to reach out and that I would do everything I could to provide her with some resources. I was able to provide her with 4 referrals for housing assistance. The client responded with, "Thank you very much for listening to my story and providing me with these resources. You never know what someone is going through, and your kindness and empathy made me feel better about my situation. Keep doing what you're doing for the community." Every day, hundreds of individuals such as this depend on 211 for access to transportation, food, shelter, and other basic human needs. The Human Services funds in the Mayor's 2019 budget, along with support from partners such as the United Way of Central Ohio, the Columbus Foundation, Franklin County Jobs and Family Services, NISource, and Franklin County Children's Services, make it possible for us to respond to the calls. In 2018, we were able to provide over 800,000 referrals to the citizens of Columbus. In addition, we were able to provide access to over 1.3 million meals. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you all today. You may reach us by dialing 211 or going to the website at 211centralohio.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright, for presenting today, and certainly for the long-term commitment that the city has with Hands On Central Ohio. And just the importance of your organization. You just mentioned you provided 800,000 referrals. 800,000 with referrals, the number of people that needed services that you were able to help. And so we are very appreciative, and you probably worked with some of the agencies that are here.
Yes.
And and I know that you're also with this grant going to focus on what funds will also support enhanced awareness efforts regarding important social trends and inspire collective action.
Yes.
I know that from and I was very sad that Ernest Perry has taken on a new responsibility at Ohio Health.
Yes.
But I will just tell you that your organization, he leading that organization, has been an integral partner to this city, and especially for his thinking outside the box initiatives to help us to move forward, like the texting to get to the food pantries. There's a number of things that you guys have done.
Yes.
I'm very appreciative. I'm also appreciative that he is still working with us on the city and county food plan. So, but again, the organization is an integral part. You are a partner with the City of Columbus, and we thank you for helping our residents.
Thank you for your continued partnership.
Thank you. Okay. Our next speaker is from the Homeless Families Foundation, Ms. Rice. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Councilmember Tyson, Councilmember Remy. Great to see you both. Thank you for the invitation to join you today. At Homeless Families Foundation, we are so excited to receive our first year of grant funding from the Health and Human Services grant. HFF has been working to help children, nurture children, and end homelessness in our community for over 31 years. We're thankful to the city, Mayor Ginther, for sharing our vision of a better life for Columbus families and providing funding for our Family Stability Program, which helps families find resources and chart a path to a better future. As you know, Columbus, it's an amazing, thriving city. No place I'd rather call home, but too many of our neighbors, they're struggling to meet their basic needs. They're living in poverty, working in jobs that don't pay enough to meet their rent, let alone childcare, and then putting food on the table. HFF works with many collaborative partners, the Community Shelter Board, many folks in the room today, Salvation Army, Volunteers of America, Hands On, to really fight poverty and to work on ending homelessness in our community. And we see issues like this every day. It's real. The need for affordable housing, like you said earlier, is real. But at HFF, we work hard not to lose sight that the family's struggle is unique to them. It's felt uniquely by them and their children. And we see how that plays out in the lives of our children every day. Our goal is to help them find their own strengths, to harness their own resilience. We work with them to chart their own individualized plans of stability, economic and housing stability through case management and walking alongside them. Whether it be enrolling child in after-school program and busing them home at night so moms can work a full day of work, or helping a pregnant youth with life skills and finding an apartment because mom and dad put them out when they were 18, or helping a single mom who has no safety net pay rent, connect to prenatal care so that she can have a healthy baby and return to work. Our Family Stability Program really looks to fill the gaps for each family uniquely and wrap services around them, whether they come in to our programming through housing programming or education programming. We realize each family needs a different formula for success, and we're thankful to the City of Columbus for understanding that families aren't cookie cutters, that they have individual needs. We use our city funds. We will use the city funds to complement the government funds that we receive that do the heavy lifting for the rent payments from the Shelter Board, the Department of Education, local foundations like the Columbus Foundation, the United Way. With our Family Stability Program this year, we will provide financial and material resources for over 500 households. It allows us to be creative in our approach. Like I said, not to provide cookie-cutter solutions for families who are really dealing with diverse and complex issues of poverty. So on behalf of the staff and the board of the Homeless Families Foundation, thank you again for trusting us to achieve the shared vision for our families and our community. I invite you to join us in Franklinton. So much development going on. We're excited to be part of it. You can reach us at 33 North Grubb, and then also at 614-715-8227, which will put you in connection with either our education programming or our homeless programming. Thank you.
Thank you. You mentioned you'll be working with 500 households.
Yes.
And that which is important, is that you're providing individual support services to those families. So
Yes.
whatever the need is, you'll have some case managers and working with those families to get the services that they need.
Absolutely.
And to move them forward. All right, I don't have any other questions. Your grant amount is $125,000.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you
you
so much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Glenn.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good.
Thank you for allowing us to come. I'm representing Huckleberry House today. Huckleberry House's crisis program provides safe emergency shelter, food, and supportive services to area teens and their families. First and foremost, Columbus youth need a safe place, whether they ran away or were put out. Our crisis program works to strengthen family relationships and reunite runaway and estranged youth with their families. By maintaining our dedication to family reunification as an alternative to youth homelessness, we serve both teens and their families. I want you to know today, though, that we are more than just a shelter. We are there for young people to know that They are important. We teach young people to be self-sufficient. Our programming is intentional. We teach youth to expect more for themselves. While in the shelter, we are working on ways to effectively communicate. We are working on ways to cope with everyday stressors and problems. We teach youth a variety of independent living skills in hopes of them applying those skills when they return home. We go a step further and we follow them back into their homes to make sure those skills are being utilized. We do this on an individual basis as well as in a group setting. We collaborate with other organizations to bring awareness, to bring resources, to help families stay together. We really want to prevent youth from running away and to prevent homelessness. So that's Huckleberry House.
Thank you. And so I want to make sure that I'm getting this right. So you're serving individuals ages 11 to 18?
That is correct.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
And this particular grant, you're looking at, in the past, every year you provide services, provide over 2,000 nights of emergency service.
Yes, ma'am. About 440 youth a year.
440 youth per year.
Yes, ma'am.
And the last year, your average length of stay was an individual may come and stay with you for 6 days?
Yes, ma'am. It's actually going about 5 to 7 now.
Okay, so average would be 6 from 5 to 7, okay.
You're right, you're right.
Okay, no problem. So anywhere, all right. And so I need to, tell me a success story.
Oh, a success story would be a family who has been experiencing some challenges in the home, whether it's communicating effectively, whether it's a young person who was recently diagnosed with a mental illness, coming to the shelter, staying for a few days, linking with one of our counselors, one of our case managers, coming into the home. The family actually comes to Huckleberry House, and we provide what we call a family session to really get it all out, really fight in a way that's effective, and ideally we'll create a plan to get that young person back in the home, teaching them different strategies, communicating with each other, having family time, actually scheduling that time. It may not feel organic, but we want to teach them that it's okay to think outside of the norm and to really get them back on track.
Well, this community, we hope that our young people would be able to be in safe and homes that they don't have to either run away or create or behaviors are going on in their lives where they have to leave. But
Yes,
if that is the case, we're glad that we have Huckleberry House and that I'm reading that 90% of your teams exit to safe and appropriate housing, and that may be back in the family, or it could be with a family member or some other, as long as they're safe in their housing, correct?
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you very much. I don't have any, I think everything is here. I've made sure that what I have in front of me is what's going to happen with these dollars, and the grant amount is $55,000.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Glenn, for coming down. Okay, our next speaker will be from Impact, and it is Ms. Bass. How are you?
I was going to say, you're going to realize real soon that I'm not Leland. Leland just got out of the hospital yesterday after staying in there a week from this flu pneumonia that's going around. So I'm kind of pinch hitting down here for Leland, but my name is Beth Urban, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Impact Community Action. Thank you for the opportunity to come down here and talk to you about our Vocational Trades and Certification, our VTAC program, that's focused on the construction trades. Just this morning, I was at a Columbus 2020 roundtable presentation, and it was focused on the construction trades. Every single construction company there said there was a huge shortage of skilled trade workers. They touted their percentages of, they're like, it's really increasing. We have 5% minority participation and 6.3% women participation right now in the construction fields. Impact is uniquely positioned to increase those numbers, and the program that we applied for that is receiving funding is so that people can get trained. It's a 12-week training program where when our participants graduate, they will get a nationally recognized certification from the National Center of Construction and Engineering Research. They will have their OSHA certification. They will have basic HVAC, plumbing, carpentry, and brickwork and masonry certifications when they graduate. So they start in the classroom with 4 weeks of soft skills. This morning, they also presented a report saying the need for soft skills is outweighing the need for hard skills at this point. We have lost our ability to be flexible, adaptable, and communicate with each other. So that's why we start in the classroom with our soft skills. And then they move on into the hard skills of where they learn the basics of the HVAC and the plumbing. But we also have been purchasing homes that we are rehabbing in order to provide affordable housing for some of our customers. So it's a lifetime lab of where they go out into the community and work on these homes so that they get on-the-job experience while they're doing all of this. The participants in our program, what we've asked for is people who are less than 200% of the poverty level, who are unemployed or underemployed. So these could be people making $8 to $9 an hour, which we would all agree is not a living wage. When they come through our programs, they will get the soft skills, the hard skills. The other thing that people don't realize is how math heavy the construction trades are, so they get a lot of math support as well. They will be assigned a self-sufficiency coordinator, which will help them navigate some of the barriers to employment that they have. And we also have asked for some funding to do things such as work on people to get their driver's license reinstated. So as you know, you can't get a job without a driver's license, and sometimes that's an insurmountable barrier for people because it can cost up to $1,000 to be able to do this. I have notes that I'm not following at all. So one of the things that I've worked with, that we're working with this program, is to provide a direct pipeline to employers, to have career fairs at Impact, so when you graduate from our program, you immediately exit to a job. Over the past year, we've had 69 graduates from the program. The average salary is $14 per hour that they receive right after graduation. The highest salary that we have right now is $27 an hour from someone who has graduated from this program. Again, I thank you for the opportunity to present. Impact is one of many agencies in the city providing critical opportunities for our most vulnerable citizens. At the time of increasing needs and increased unpredictability for our economy, for our community, and for the people we serve, we believe that it's imperative that the city significantly increase its human services grant from its funding levels of the past several decades. As members of the Human Service Chamber, we are committed to the strength not only of our agency, but of our sector. We have worked hard to meet the needs of our community over the last 40 years, and we know the incredible impact we can have if we better invest in the work that needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Urban, and I have just a couple of quick questions. So, you mentioned 69 people would be in the program, and first, tell Bo I said hello.
I will.
And thank you. And so, I know you have a number of programs at the Urban League that are workforce focused. So will you look at some of the people that are currently in other programs, and as they are being successful and completing those programs, would they be able to move into this program?
And I will say we have a number of employment programs at Impact, Community Action, and that is one of the features of this program, is most of the people in this program have started in another one of our programs. For instance, about half of them have come from our reentry program. So they spend 3 weeks with us in reentry and then can move into one of our employment programs. So we've designed a pipeline within our own services to move from reentry to our traditional workforce development to move on to the vocational trades and certification.
And thank you for sharing that, because it is really important that people are in very different places in terms of their preparedness in the workforce. And I'm hoping that people who are in this room today or will be able to see this hearing is that we have to provide those initial skills and then provide other opportunities for them to move into other training programs, into jobs, so they can free up these other spaces for other individuals. And that is really key. You also, I think you give some sort of stipend. You give stipends to the people in your programs. And that is also key, because it's very difficult for anyone to go in a training program or to get these additional skills. They still have to pay the bills that they may have. And so having that stipend allows them to be able to continue to pay some of those bills and then get the training to be able to have a higher wage. And certainly, if you're getting people, I mean, they may start at 14, they gain those skills, they get to $27 an hour, that is certainly a livable wage for individuals and families. The other comment, I need to ask this, is that the construction trades sometimes they can get the training, but if people have backgrounds, there are some obstacles to that in terms of working for certain businesses in the community. So, and I know I'm asking you, this is my last question, so everybody's can come up, but so the people that you're partnering, well, one, I'm happy that you are buying homes in the community and people are getting skills that way. Kudos to that. But the other is that the organization that you've had already a direct pipeline, have there been individuals that have backgrounds to go into that direct pipeline, or are they people that don't have backgrounds?
It has been a mix of both. One of the biggest advocacy issues that we have faced with this program is the amount of participants we have with backgrounds. And we've had to do a lot of work with employers to get them to believe that people with backgrounds sometimes are going to be their best employees. So some people still will not hire people with backgrounds. We've found quite a few people who will. The man who is making $27 an hour now spent 10 years in jail. So he definitely had a background before he came into our program. The other result that we've had is we've had about 4 or 5 people that had extensive backgrounds and could not get jobs be able to start their own small repair businesses. So we're trying to lead also to help them form entrepreneurial skills so that they can build their own business if they find they can't go and work for anyone else.
Thank you. And certainly as you're helping with those entrepreneurial skills, yesterday ECDI was here, and they are certainly working to help people move forward with their businesses, to get those entrepreneurs to get resources to be able to move their business forward. So that may be a partner that if you have not worked with the ECDI, that may be someone to work with. But thank you very much for coming down, and I appreciate your work, and your grant is for $134,978.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, good. We're going to have the Jewish Family Services, and Karen and Tariq, how are you? Good to see you.
Well, how are you?
Good. The floor.
Thank you. Well, thank you to Councilmember Tyson, Councilmember Remy for inviting us here today and for your support of Jewish Family Services. I'm Karen Mosener, Chief Operating Officer, with my colleague Tariq Mohammed, who's our Director of New American Services. And we appreciate the opportunity to talk today about our new program that serves New Americans, a different part of the New American population that we haven't been able to serve in the past. Jewish Family Services was founded 111 years ago to serve newly arrived refugees. And so a lot has changed in the last 111 years. The faces, the languages, the religions, the countries of origin of New Americans have changed, but our agency's commitment to this work has not wavered. So that this city, the city of Columbus, has one of the largest refugee populations in the country. And a lot of that is because of the way our community has opened its arms to New Americans and recognized the valuable contributions that New Americans bring to Central Ohio. We know that New Americans contribute over $1.6 billion to the local economy every year, and that they've revitalized entire chunks of our city. So with the support of the city in this grant, this program will also leverage funding that we have already received from United Way And this new program will fill a gap and in services to new Americans, enabling us to help them in ways that not only will make a difference in their lives and the lives of their families, helping them achieve economic stability and security, but also helping us have the opportunity for a dramatic increase in that economic impact as well. So I'm going to leave it to the expert here, Tariq, to really talk more about the program itself.
Good afternoon. As you're well aware of, refugees are the largest new Americans are in the city of Columbus, and on average, refugees have lived in refugee camps for 20 years plus. So education, integration becomes even harder for us to address those things when they're very new. Thanks to our partner and funder, Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services, we have received funding for the past 15 years, and with those fundings, we initial the resettlement piece and the amount when they first arrive, how do we get them to those first jobs. With this funding, however, with CONA creating opportunities for new Americans, we're hoping to get them to the next level, a level in which they are receiving certification, that they're receiving certification, and also stability at work. So our partners that we're planning to send, the individuals that we're planning to serve, will be definitely Eastland Career Center for HVAC and CNC certification. Impact was just right here, right before us. Definitely would like to work with them and send individuals to obtain those certifications. And you just mentioned ECDI. This is definitely a partner that we want refugees and new Americans to establish their businesses in the city of Columbus. But also, it takes a village. It takes a lot of partnership, as you stated earlier. Goodwill is a dear partner to us, and we'll be talking to them. We're partners all the time for other programs, but in this particular one, definitely the software and computer literacy is one, YMCA, and our refugee partners, New American partners, is ETSS, Chris, us together, and definitely ECDI again. It really takes a village, as I said. It takes a lot of people to move new Americans, to integrate, to become part of our fabric of our society.
So again, we want to thank you for the opportunity to talk about this program, and happy to take your questions.
Thank you. How many participants will be a part of this program?
We'll be serving 124.
124? I can get it.
100, yes. And, sorry, you have another?
Go ahead.
I wanted to add more. So out of that, we'll be placing in meaningful employment 99, so that's 80% of that. And 80% will also retain at a job.
So job retention, and you're looking at job retention for how long? Is it 6 months, a year? What's your job retention?
Minimum is 90 days.
90 days.
Is what we're looking for.
And talk to me about the wages that you're going to move people, so these participants, once they're out in the workplace, the amount of money, their wages, their hourly wage.
With the current funding we have from Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services, we are at that minimum of $12 to $12.50. In this population, we'd like to get the minimum at $15 an hour.
But we anticipate, depending on what types of training, apprenticeships, whatever programs we are getting people into and what type of employment, that would be the minimum. So we anticipate a higher level. And that would give us outcomes at, if we look at just that minimum of $15 an hour for the minimum number that we expect to place into employment, earnings of $3 million in wages and $772,000 in taxes paid.
So these are individuals that have already possibly been in your programs already. You could obviously bring in new people into your program, but these are people who already are working, because you said they're making $8 to $9 an hour, right? I think that's my notes here. But they're already working, and now you're.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
It's 12.
So they're making
yeah.
$12.50 already. And so then so these are individuals who are already working, which is great.
Right.
And now you're going to give them additional skills so that they can make a higher wage to take care of their families. That's the
Right.
goal, right?
Right. We're able to help them until they've been here up to 5 years through the support from the county. This will enable us to take them from that point where they've begun to get acclimated, acquired more language skills, where they're really ready to make that next leap, and we can provide the support to help them get there.
And again, I'm asking those questions because, one, I want to get people to making more money because they can take care of their families. But two, that then it opens up those slots for individuals who are currently in those jobs right now that you're working with at the $12.50 to be able, you can bring in more people in that program, and these individuals can move out, because that's the only way people only move out of poverty by, number one, is making more money. And so this is an opportunity to do that.
Right.
Okay. All right. And I'm glad that you're working with ETSS and Chris and all the other organizations. So this grant, and we look forward to the success of this, is for $200,000. And we'll hear back in about a year of the success. Believe me, we're going to be following everybody to see how well they're doing. Kim knows, look at Director Shoney smiling, because this is really important work. And I'm happy that you guys have all been, so far the recipients of these dollars. And we want to just, make sure that things are moving along. And also, if there are any obstacles that you run into, that you're certainly talking to Kim and sharing that information too.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, and I see it's Kate. Hi, Marilyn.
Hi.
And Kate from Middle Ohio Food Bank. All right, go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair and Councilman Ramey and council staff. First and foremost, heartfelt thanks for your leadership and your insight toward advancing the work of so many not-for-profits in our community, including Mid-Ohio Food Bank, so our hungry neighbors will know where their next meal is coming from. And thank you for your intro remarks, too, about collaboration creating collective impact. As a member of the Human Service Chamber, we know that investment in the collaborative work of nonprofits will lift everyone in our community, especially our struggling neighbors. Now I'd like to introduce Kate Hubner, who is our grants administrator, and she will detail our Southside Roots project.
Madam Chair, Council, and staff, thank you for providing us with the opportunity to be here today and to share some additional information related to the critical work of our Southside Roots initiative, for which we are seeking your support. Co-located at the Reeb Avenue Center, Mid-Ohio Food Bank's Southside Roots initiative offers a Pay What You Can cafe, weekly community meal, and kids cafe feeding program that ensures our Southside neighbors are able to consistently access the nourishing food they need to grow and to thrive. At our Pay What You Can cafe, customers are offered a variety of payment options, including volunteering an hour of their time in lieu of payment. Additionally, we provide, free to our customers, a nutritious meal 5 days a week for members of the Loaves and Fishes Soup Kitchen, a local soup kitchen that we absorbed when we opened in 2015. No one is ever turned away due to inability to pay. Regardless of payment method or economic standing, all customers are able to access the same wonderful, delicious, healthy meals from the same menu. Our community meal program aims to further bolster the food security of our neighbors by hosting a dinner each Tuesday evening, which is also at no charge to our customers. All members of our community, regardless of income, are welcome to join us for a well-balanced, nutritious, and delicious meal. Likewise, through our Kids Cafe meal program, we partner with a variety of youth-serving organizations to serve breakfast, lunch, and snacks to children all throughout the city of Columbus. We know that food matters, but we know that healthy food matters more. Providing our neighbors with access to the right food at the right time and in the right price is critical. When our neighbors are able to consistently access nourishing meals, they can focus their limited resources on gaining and maintaining stable housing, completing their education, or gaining meaningful employment, which allow them to earn a living wage. An investment in the food security of our neighbors today is an investment in our neighbors' ability to grow and to thrive throughout their lifetime. Thank you again for your incredible support. We deeply appreciate your ongoing commitment towards helping to end hunger in our community. And we would love to invite you, your team, your staff, your colleagues to join us at Southside Roots so that you can see this extraordinary work in action. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Kate. I just have a couple questions.
Yes.
Can you share with us the number of families that you are serving at the Roots Cafe?
Yes, we have 3,100 as our unduplicated number that's associated with this grant. I will say that that's probably an underestimate because we do run into an issue with our community meal program because we don't take attendance when folks come in. So sometimes the numbers get a little bit squishy in that space.
So 3,100 individuals will be getting, have the opportunity to get free meals?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you have, and then on the Tuesday, that number is not included, so that means it's more people
Yes.
than that. And then, are you still involved with the transitional work program?
Yes, we work with Godman Guild through a transitional work program where we are able to offer that service on staff at Southside Roots. So we're able to provide mentoring and coaching to those individuals and take them through that whole process.
All right. Okay, so we'll have meals for 3,100 individuals and this grant program, as well as you're doing catering service. You have the kids' cafe meal, and this grant's for $100,000. Isn't it? That's what
150 is what we had?
oh, maybe I have it wrong on mine. I have 100,000, but we will. Oh, all right. Well, what we'll do is you
So you're correct, it's 100,000.
it's 100,000.
The request was 150.
Oh, your request was 150. Okay. And
Okay,
of that
gotcha.
request, $100,000 is the amount.
Wonderful. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Do you still are you still interested in getting the 100,000?
100%. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Good to go. Good to go on that.
Okay, Marilyn. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Clark. The floor is yours, and share who you are, the organization that you are.
I'm the executive director of NEMAP Food Pantry. And I would like to also give my thanks on behalf of our board and staff and volunteers for this initiative, and we're thrilled to be a part of it. NEMAP is in its 50th year. Until 4 years ago, we were in the short north. In 2015, we moved to East 11th in South Linden. Since that time, we've almost doubled the amount of people that we see. We are now one of the largest pantries in the city. We had over 16,000 visits last year and distributed 850,000 pounds. Since we've been there, we've felt for some time that we had the capacity and the desire to do more in Linden, and particularly North Linden. So in talking to various people, in particular the coordinator of the local food action plan, Cheryl, she suggested if we want to do anything in North Linden, you better go to New Salem Baptist Church and talk to the leadership there. And we did. They felt that this was a major cultural center in the community, and we met with Adam and John and those guys, and it turns out that they had a building that they had a vision for, to establish in the future a wellness center with various social services. So our project is to open a daily produce market. We're planning to model this after the Produce for All People in Parsons Avenue, which has been extremely successful. The concept which is different about that produce market is that people can come every day that they're open instead of once or twice a month. The idea is that they take what they need to cook tonight or tomorrow night for their family, and when they need more, they come back, just like you and I would at a grocery store. They're serving close to 300 people every day. We plan to open 4 to 5 days a week at our produce market. The products will come from Mid-Ohio Food Bank. They're fruits, vegetables, dairy, and bread. That'll be 99% of what we have. We believe that this project will make a significant impact in the neighborhood by providing fresh produce on a regular basis, not just every month or every 2 weeks when you have a produce market, and adding to the nutrition of the families. While North Linden will be our focus, we expect to see a lot of people from the Morris Road corridor, and we're actually going to accept all zip codes in the county. Our partners, of course, are New Salem Baptist Church, Mid-Ohio Food Bank, the Local Food Action Plan of Columbus Public Health, and Kroger's. Kroger's is going to supply us with all the things we need in terms of cooling equipment, display fixtures, carts, etc., from their warehouse. They're very anxious to help us as we are in North Linden, where they used to be. The sustainability for us comes from the fact that we are supported by 30 churches throughout Central Ohio and have been for decades. We also are in the midst of having a formal fundraising campaign to celebrate our 50th anniversary. For the first time, we're a member of United Way, which happened this past year. And I think the main thing about us is that we've been around 50 years, and I don't think we're going to go anywhere. So we have the sustainability to continue and to grow. We expect to see a minimum of 5,000 to 10,000 visits during the September when we're going to open till December. If we have only 100 a day, that's 20,000 visits next year, and if we have 200 a day, that's 40,000 visits. So it's going to be substantial. Any questions?
Yes, I have, Mr. Clark, a couple questions. First of all, I'm very excited that you are mentioning a local food action plan, and it is absolutely working. Commissioner O'Grady and I put this plan together about 4 or 5 years ago, and it really is moving forward. So, and you mentioned Cheryl, and I'm very appreciative of her work working with you. We funded her position, another position, to be able to implement that plan. So the work is all coming together. That's number one. Number two is that certainly you just mentioned that you would hope this will open, of course, in the fall, and you would have 4 to 5 people could come 4 to 5 days a week. They could come. Right. Because you're right. Because I know that Pastor Edgar and the Community Development for All People, their store, I think they can come about. Well, like it may come maybe every 3 days or something, as they come around every 3 days, and they're seeing a lot of people, more than they ever anticipated. So I think that you will find a lot of people coming there. You also mentioned that your numbers have increased, and I think that some of this is also very intentional. When 311 was standing up here, we made sure that we also looked at the numbers of people that were going into food pantries and where there were gaps in people going to food pantries, and hopefully through that program, through the text to go to a food pantry right away. It's the texting program that individuals, we were looking at the increase in people utilizing, especially the food pantries in some of the neighborhoods where we were looking at our Celebrate One neighborhoods. And so I'm excited that your numbers are continuing to increase. I absolutely believe that 43211, that's that zip code, 43211, goes to 43219 there, that individuals will be coming there and getting this fresh fruit and produce that will certainly help make sure people have access to healthy food. So I thank you for your leadership. I know your numbers are going to be really great when the Linden Health and Wellness Center open also. So your grant amount is for $90,000, and Councilmember Remy has, I guess, a question or statement.
Yeah, more of a statement. I'm glad and happy to see that you worked with the Troys at New Salem. I know thanks to Councilmember Tyson last year, we had a farmer's market there at this exact location that went over very well, and I believe it's going to occur again this year. And I know that Adam Troy I took a tour of the place, and they were trying to find ways and ideas of what to do with that building. And so certainly it's an area that has a high amount of need. And so for you to step into that location, I'm very excited to see what the outcomes are. So thank you for that.
We're right on Cleveland Avenue and a bus stop. We have 2,000 square feet, so it's plenty. It's bigger than what they have at Parsons by a little bit. So we think it's very doable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and it's for $90,000. Our next presenter is our helpers, and Ms. Muhammad. Good afternoon. Please state your name and who you represent, and tell us about your program.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, City Council members and staff, for the leadership in having me here today. My name is Hodan Mohammed. I am the Executive Director of Our Helpers. It's the mission of Our Helpers to help new Americans overcome social and economical obstacles through advocacy, education, job placement, and connecting them to community resources that are available in Central Ohio. Our helpers provide ESL classes, citizenship classes, interpretation services, integration and civic education, workforce development, and youth programs. In the summer of 2017 in Columbus, there were more than 7 homicides, all involving young Somali males in gang violence. In the summer of 2018, there were none. There's no doubt that keeping kids busy with programs and activities help control risk of bad behavior. Our helpers started the Our Light program in the summer of 2018. This program was response to the violence and served as an outlet for 80 Somali youth from June to September. This program had no budget and only volunteers dedicated to making a difference. The response was amazing. The expectation was to engage about 40 to 50 youth in the age of 15 to 22 years of age in a basketball and personal development programs. With the help of MICO, Muslim Youth Association Group, the boys kept coming, friends telling friends from all over the city, and before we knew, we had 80 enrolled. The need for activities with cultural appreciation is really high. The collaboration of mosques, social service agencies, and health providers provide what the kids needed. Our helpers is fortunate to have the support of Somali business community in Northland area as individual donors to the agency. We have also been awarded grants from Ohio EMA, neighborhood partnership grants, and have a generous board of directors. It's not easy to do this alone. Our partners include MICO, Muslim Youth of Central Ohio, in the recruitment of coaches and youth, YMCA of Central Ohio, Columbus Urban League, Impact Community Action, and Columbus Health Department are all partners to provide self-development speakers and classes. SICO is the collaboration of 6 mosques that provide rich cultural perspective to the program. And finally, Ohio Dixie Association donated a gym space for the program. To find more information about the program or Our Helpers, you can visit us at www.ourhelpers.org. Our website is under construction at this moment, but will be available next week. Also, you can find us on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Muhammad. And so for 2 questions. One, so tell us where you are, where you're located for these services, where you're providing them.
The office is located on the Morse Road, but the service will be provided on Mark Road. So it's 2112 on Mark Road.
So services is going to be on Mock Road. And how many individuals between the Somali males, these are only for males, is that correct? From the ages of 15 to 22, how many will be in your program?
For this program, there will be 100.
100 young people. And you've already, you had this program last year, and so the success in 2018 would be that, well, there were no homicides for young people
during that program, yes.
through your program, and that is a success. And is that with the success moving forward, or what do you see as success in your program?
I see as a success, it's culturally competent, and basically we were not advertising the program. People were telling one another, 80 has been enrolled, and there was no homicide during that program.
Well, thank you, Ms. Mohammed, for your leadership in creating this program for the young Somali male youth. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And the grant is for $22,100. All right, so now we will have Ms. Hanan, the Director of Professional and Community Services for the Salvation Army. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Councilmember Tyson and Councilmember Remy. I'm Michelle Hannon. I am the Anti-Human Trafficking Director for the Salvation Army. And I just wanted to share a little bit of history of how we got to where we are in this work today. In 2007, when Central Ohio started to organize around this issue of trafficking, around that time, the Salvation Army launched its anti-trafficking program, and that continued a tradition that really started for the Salvation Army in the 1880s in London, England, shortly after we were founded. Today, we are playing a key role in our community's anti-trafficking response. We staff our community's 24-hour human trafficking hotline, ensuring that survivors can receive trauma-informed, in-person help when they need it. And to receive help with a trafficking situation, anyone can call 888-373-7888 for a 24-hour response. We also support survivors through their healing and recovery, providing comprehensive case management and facilitating access to needed services such as detox, shelter, basic needs, legal services, counseling, etc. Since 2010, the Salvation Army has reached out to survivors through weekly street outreach. And to date, we have had more than 5,400 encounters with survivors on the streets of Columbus, including 839 in the year 2018. And over half of those have been located in the Franklinton and Hilltop area, so very overrepresented there. So this work, over the past, really looking back in 2010, 2011, this work led to us opening our first drop-in center, which is called The Well, and it's at our Near East Side location. And over the years, we've really had the privilege of seeing survivors make great strides through their involvement with that program and their healing. And this is a really wonderful resource, and we're glad to have it, but what we have found increasingly over the past few years is it's not accessible to the survivors who are being trafficked on the west side. We're very, very grateful for the opportunity through this Human Services grant to expand that outreach and to launch drop-in services at the West Side Well, which will be located at our Hilltop Worship and Service Center, which is located at 2300 West Mound Street. So with these funds, we plan to hire a part-time outreach specialist, add at least 2 outreach sessions per week to begin, and to launch weekly drop-in hours, starting with 1 day a week and then building to 2 days a week. At the West Side Well, survivors will be able to access a holistic range of services, including basic needs, emotional support, medical screening, and rapid entry into detox and shelter. All survivors will have the opportunity to connect with our case management services. And one strength of the Salvation Army is that we offer a lot of these services in-house through our 5 choice pantries, our Career Enhancement Center, our housing programs, and so it allows survivors easy access. This year, we expect to build relationships with at least 200 survivors through street outreach, and we expect at least 40 of those to receive immediate services through dropping in at the West Side Well. And we hope to engage, of those, about 15 survivors to come into the actual ongoing case management program And we've really found that this model is effective in helping survivors thrive. And as manager of the Central Ohio Rescue and Restore Coalition, the Salvation Army also coordinates a network of about 100 organizations that are working together to build a continuum of services in our community for survivors. And we're committed to that, to all of our collaborative partners, and continuing to work with them to best meet the needs of survivors in our community. And I just want to thank you again for the opportunity to expand these services and for your support of survivors and for these efforts.
Thank you so much for the work that you're doing and helping individuals who are being human trafficked. Are you referring to only women, and are there any men also in this group?
So we reach out to any survivor of any background. What we have found the vast majority of those that we're encountering on street outreach are women or people who identify as female. And so we expect that that would be our primary population, but our overall program would serve anybody of any background.
Thank you. And so the goal is you would be having outreach to 200 survivors.
Yes. So,
yes. And 40 would come in for more, well, not, 40 would come to the well.
That's what we're hoping.
And then hopefully and 15 would come into a case management program.
Exactly.
And you just mentioned, I had one question to hear that about long-term treatment.
Yes.
And so detox and other programs, you'd be working with other human service agencies that we are hearing from today for those programs.
Absolutely, that's right. A number of those partners and members are here or a part of this process yesterday and today. So,
okay.
yes.
All right. Well, thank you. I don't have any other questions. Okay. And the amount is $27,243. And thank you for your service to our women in our community. Thank you. Our next presenter is Hassan Omar, and he is representing the Somali Community Association of Ohio.
Good afternoon. City Council members, Chair Priscilla Tyson. I'm honored to be here to speak to you today on behalf of Somali community here in Ohio. Columbus has become the second largest and the most popular destination for Somalis, with a population of 75,000 and more, with many living throughout Franklin County. In 2000, the Somali Community Association began helping hundreds of new refugees and immigrants. Since that time, the organization had developed and served more than 57,000 clients, developed skills, sustainable, and people who became self-sufficient. Furthermore, in 2018, the Somali Community Organization served over 5,000 people, 5,000 individuals pertaining to housing, youth programs, interpretation, food service programs, town hall meetings, workshops, sports activities, and the other outreach services. The Somali population has experienced much success in Columbus, with many starting their own business. And today we have over 800 businesses ranging from little shop to malls. And the trend has shown the number is growing. Last year, we served 5,000 individuals, as I mentioned, including 375 families who've been evicted from their apartments. And we work with, and we have to appreciate and have to mention the Legal Aid Society, Columbus Legal Aid, who actually work with us and assisted for those families. To one of them, actually, we put their money on the escrow court, and the judge gave half of those money back to the families because of the way they've been treated, the property managers. Due to the large amount of Somali people in Columbus, we are witnessing a lack of affordable housing, as I mentioned, and high rates of evictions, homelessness, and overall lack of legal representation on their own behalf, even though the legal aid has been inactive. Currently, most of Somali people in Columbus live in neighborhoods with the high rate of crimes and drug activities. This is not only affecting the safety of the residents, but also has a negative impact to the youth in those areas. Living in this environment, many youth become a negative influence and engaged with the gang activities, substance abuse, in relation to the negative neighborhood activities. We have experienced, as Holden mentioned earlier, for last 20 months, we lost 18 young, actual men, 19 kids get killed for gang violence and drug overdose. And the problem that exists in the United States, opioid crisis, has been actually been affected throughout the Somali community. In conclusion, also one thing that I like to say, the lack of communication between the Somali community and the Columbus Police Department is existing and it's getting bigger. We feel that with the proper Somali-speaking liaison and many communications could be avoided and help the department to resolve the cold cases within the community. Even though for 20 kids being killed for the last 20 months, there has not been one single case has been resolved. All the cases became a cold, and that's not something that the community is appreciating because we are taxpayers, we live in the city, and we are the part of the community. So we are expecting if somebody committed a crime to be caught and bring to the justice. We haven't seen that. The Somali community really is feeling a little bit pain about that, and that number is growing. Also, we have seen the kids are being lacking a lot of support. Most community live in inner city area where they don't have activities, sports activities, or even there is no playgrounds. They don't have a good relation with the park and recreation staff, even though we would like to have a relation with them based on the cultural and the language barriers, or maybe they are scared even to go there for some reasons. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Omar. So the grant that you're getting here is for $20,000, and so you're as a person that will be dedicated to housing concerns that Somali residents are having. Is that correct?
Yes, we are really, the housing is becoming critical. The Somali families has more kids than ordinary Americans. The average is 7. And most apartments is designated maybe 2 or 3 bedrooms. Also, this community doesn't have a credit if they even wanted to rent an apartment, big house. Or some of them do not have the money to rent a big house. So there are critical issues where it's a code violations, or maybe the property managers, the way they treat the community, and they take advantage of it. We don't want to explain all those things.
Okay, so this position would be able to work with individuals in the Somali community, but also work with the landlords and to share this information for the Somali families. And last year, you worked with over 450 individuals with housing needs. How are you viewing success of this program? This individual is going to work with a number of families?
Most of the cases, we've been successful. We know that we live in the town, and we're trying to create a friendship instead to have a fear. So we always communicate the property managers. We mediate. If they need a language services, we provide the interpretation services. If there is some problems, we try to become brokers and create an environment where the landlord and the tenants understand.
All right, Mr. Omar, I will also work with Mr. Stans to try to, because all of the grants have numbers, and I'm just going to understand, because that's how we look at if the dollars that we're providing, if those dollars, because they're dollars that the community has entrusted to us, that just to understand the number of people you're going to serve, and so that you anticipate serving in your grant. And I can certainly work with...
What I'm expecting is, I'm sure we're going to exceed the number that we mentioned. Because
I was just asking what the number happened to be. And that, so you're going to work with at least 450, is that again this year? Is that the plan? Or if you don't know the number right now, we'll have it before we pass the legislation, and I'm okay with that. Okay.
That's great.
And thank you for certainly coming and sharing some of the other issues that you brought up that are for the Somali community, and we can all work together and maybe have a conversation regarding those other issues that you brought up today.
That's wonderful. Actually, we don't have any specific job description. We are out there to provide all necessary services. We have volunteers, we have visitor members, we have a business community that help us a lot. So we are out there not only serve for Somalis, we serve anybody who comes to the door.
Okay.
And that the center has been existing for the last 20 years.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And again, this grant will be for $20,000. Thank you. Our next presenter will be from St. Stephen's Community House, and the presenter is going to be Miss Allison Koenig. Good evening.
Good afternoon. My name is Allison Koenig, and I'm the Food and Nutrition Center Specialist at St. Stephen's Community House. And I'm here representing our Neighborhood Services Department, which is the department that received or will be receiving funding from the city. The Neighborhood Services Department consists of 4 main service areas: the Food and Nutrition Center, which also includes our semi-monthly produce markets, the Christmas Cares Union Shares Holiday Help Program, community dinners, and lastly, linkages with community resources. In main partnership with Mid-Ohio Food Bank, the Food and Nutrition Center provides fresh food, hygiene items, and resources to the residents in the Linden community and surrounding neighborhoods who are in need of assistance. We provide services to 8 different zip codes, 5 days per week, with client-centric focuses on compassion, choice, dignity, and self-sufficiency, all in an effort to eliminate the problems of food insecurity, poor nutrition, and health in our community, as well as filling gaps in knowledge and access. Families are able to complete a full shop once a month, in addition to receiving produce and bread up to once a week. When available, diapers and formula are also offered to families with children under the age of 3. Every effort is made to provide a choice of food that suits each family's cultural, dietary, and religious needs. In 2018, we served over 10,000 families, 4,238 unduplicated, with an average of 900 families a month. Beginning this year, we'll be partnering with The Ohio State University's Extension Program to offer nutrition education classes at St. Stephen's Community House free of charge to participants. In addition to the pantry, we have a seasonal free fresh produce market. Our produce markets are held twice a month, March through October, and are available to all income-eligible residents in Franklin County. At each produce market, local agencies are also on site to provide information on resources and services that are currently available to community residents. In 2018, we served a total of 1,932 families. The Neighborhood Services Department also facilitates the Christmas Cares Union Share Program annually. This program provides food to consumers during the holiday season in an effort to alleviate the stress of providing food while children are home from school during the holiday break. The program partners with Firefighters for Kids to register children under the age of 12 in our community to receive toys for the holidays. In 2018, we were able to serve a total of 1,837 families. Community dinners are a new addition to the Neighborhood Services Department. These are bi-monthly resident-driven dinners that are open to the community and hosted at St. Stephen's Community House. These family-style dinners offer a fun and relaxed environment for community residents to connect with one another, learn about services offered at St. Stephen's Community House, as well as upcoming events occurring in the community. These dinners provide a strong sense of community pride, fellowship, and additional connections to resources. When available, we offer Ohio Benefits Bank's counseling, FEMA rental assistance, bus passes, and resource connections through our neighborhood intervention specialist. With these referrals and our advocacy, we were able to assist in bringing many of our clients and their families out of crisis situations, including sudden homelessness, unemployment, illegal problems, utility shutoff, and hunger. As we celebrate our 100th anniversary this year, we're committed to our mission to strengthen families and empower our community, and look forward to the opportunity to continue to serve the greater Linden area. On behalf of St. Stephen's Community House and the Neighborhood Services Department, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you today and for your ongoing support.
Thank you, Allison. And again, you said 10,000. Could go back to your numbers for just a few minutes?
Yes, so for the Food and Nutrition Center, which is a choice food pantry, in 2018 we served 10,000 families, and of that 10,000, so that's about 4,200 unduplicated. So 10,000 services, 4,200 were unduplicated.
Thank you. Well, thank you for certainly sharing the number of families you are serving through various programs to enhance their overall quality of life. And this grant is for $172,169. And you have shared, again, the key is the number of families you're serving in those 8 zip codes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also just mentioned that it's important to have St. Stephen's as a partner as we look at the zip code of 4 through to 11 and thinking about infant mortality and Celebrate One. So our next speaker is Ms. Wilson from Star House.
Hi, good afternoon. How are
Good
you guys?
afternoon.
Like you said, my name is Amanda Wilson. I'm with Star House. We operate a 24/7 drop-in center for transitional age youth ages 14 to 24 in Central Ohio who are experiencing homelessness. Our goal is to work with our community to break young people out of homelessness and onto a pathway towards surefire stability. We conduct outreach to the streets and offer access to basic needs, therapy, healthcare, workforce development, housing, and other stabilizing resources. Last year, we served 1,199 individual youth, not including the small children of our guests. Among those who we served for 3 or more months, 86% obtained jobs, 74% obtained housing. But when we took a deeper look at those numbers, we realized that while youth could obtain these milestones, maintaining them was a different story. We know there is more work to do to help ensure this stability is sustained. This is why we started StarWorks, an on-site flexible workforce development program, and why we are partnering with Finance Fund on the Carol Stewart Village, a comprehensive community in Franklinton designed to provide the 4 pillars of stability: housing, career, community, and health to ensure long-term success. We are also in conversations with the Columbus community about opening satellite locations to further expand our reach for youth in need. The requested funding will be used to support our frontline employees, our total food budget, and our contracted safety workers. Our youth advocates are essential staff who build a safe place and foundation of trust that lead youth to access basic needs and a host of other duties that allow us to achieve our mission. Food is one of the most basic needs. While experiencing food insecurity, our youth are less capable of pursuing long-term goals because they are stuck in survival mode. A feeling of security is also an essential need that our youth are often unable to satisfy in places they may go. We are grateful for the support of the City of Columbus that enables us to sustain our programming and grow to meet demand and need. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one question, because you give me your numbers. You're focused on individuals from the ages of 14 to 24. And so how do you work with, especially some of the younger people that come into your organization to provide them the services to be able to find, or either, just tell me how you work with the younger residents.
Most of the guests we serve are over the age of 18. And the ones that do come in that are younger, they stick out like a sore thumb because they look younger. So we always immediately connect them with our therapists that are on site, because oftentimes they are runaways, and we'll work with the city, with the foster care programs to make sure they aren't runaways and to provide them therapy to get them where they need to go.
Thank you. So since there's a drop-in center, do you also connect with like Huckleberry House, who they can provide other services long-term for those young people?
Absolutely. We realize that we can't be specialists in everything, so we really rely on our partners. I mean, this is a community effort to end youth homelessness. So it's been an honor to sit in this room and just hear everyone else come up and speak, because it takes a team.
It does. Okay. So your grant's for $200,000, and are you anticipating that you would work with the same amount of youth as you worked with in 2018?
I anticipate that it'll keep increasing. We've gone up every year. Since 2012, we've grown by 199%.
Oh, wow. Okay. And last year you said 1,099 youth, correct?
1,199.
Oh, 199. Okay. All right, so we will anticipate this grant will serve at least that many, since you're saying it constantly goes up, which that's not a positive for the
No.
community. All right, well, thank you very much, Ms. Wilson, for coming and sharing.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is going to be the Starfish Alliance Incorporated, Ms. McKenzie.
Good afternoon.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. We often get confused with Star House, so it's a good opportunity for us to be able to present right after them. But we are Starfish Alliance. I just want to say on behalf of the Starfish Alliance Board of Directors, staff, volunteers, and of course our program beneficiaries, thank you so much for allowing us to come and share more about our program. I'm going to answer any questions that you may have at the end. As you mentioned, my name is Jennifer McKenzie. I serve as the Executive Director of Starfish Alliance. Starfish Alliance has served the community since 2002. Starfish Alliance supports youth and young adults who experience barriers to education and employment due to factors in their environments, family and peer relationships, and social-emotional development. Our work really initially started with working with kids who were in foster care, but we have since then expanded our work to a broader target audience. Foster care really is a placement, and we decided to put our focus on the person, and a lot of times the people who come through our program have experienced similar things, which most of us know as ACEs, so adverse childhood experiences. We also know that in Ohio, 1 in 7 youth have experienced some form of ACEs or adverse child experiences, which is abuse, neglect, or household dysfunction. And that leads to a lot of poor outcomes in both education and employment, which is why we're so passionate about making sure that our youth are prepared and successful and resilient. One of the things that we also know about trauma is that resiliency is a mitigating factor to some of the negative outcomes in employment and in education. So what we built was a program that was resiliency-based, but not resiliency just in word. Usually we associate the word resiliency with the ability to bounce back from adversity, but what we found was there was a very concrete way to help youth to build resiliency. So according to the American Psychological Association, there's 4 ways that you can do that. One is to connect them to a caring, supportive adult, which is where we got our roots, is a mentoring program, but we added a lot of elements as we learned more about our students and some of the things that they were experiencing. The other 3 things would be helping them to identify their strengths and abilities, helping them to build skills in communication and problem solving, and lastly, helping them to set goals and carry them out, which is why we have incentives associated with the outcomes that our youth are able to achieve through our program. Some of the other things that we also recognized was there were a lot of needs that weren't necessarily being met. If you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's how we think about our work: basic needs, social-emotional needs, and self-fulfillment needs. So we built partnerships around that because we're really, and self-actualization, but we think of it as self-fulfillment. Yes. So we have realized that we're a really small but mighty team, and we took that as an opportunity for us to develop relationships with great organizations around. So at the basic needs level, we've coordinated with Hands On Central Ohio through their 211. Right now, families are able to make calls in, but they will now provide outreach services to our families and to our youth, to make it more relational versus transactional. And then on the self-fulfillment level, we are connecting with Columbus Works, who will provide them with employment services, connecting them with jobs, and as well as an employment coach and life skills coach. I'm pretty sure you have questions. That was a lot. So.
Well, I wanted to first of all welcome President Hardin to the hearing, and so I have a couple questions for you. First of all, the number of youth that you serve.
80. So we do a cohort around 80. We do a cohort of 16 kids at each school, and we're in 5 high schools.
That's my next question. Tell me what schools you are in.
Yes, we're in Mifflin, Marion Franklin.
I'm going to write these down. So
I'm sorry, Mifflin, Marion Franklin, Linda McKinley, East, and Central Crossing.
Well, I am excited to hear about your program, and my office will be calling you because I want to gather additional information from you regarding the young people that you're serving. Do you serve boys and girls?
Right now, we serve boys and girls. What we are thinking about doing for next year is making it an all-girls program, because while a lot of the focus is on what's happening in the school building in terms of their education, and then thinking about their future in terms of 4 E's is what we call them, education, employment, enlistment, and entrepreneurship. There's a lot of conversations that come up when we're meeting with the girls that we feel like we can go a little bit deeper with them if it was just a cohort of young girls, but we haven't quite decided that. So traditionally, it's been a co-ed group.
All right, that's helpful, and certainly I do want to talk to you because it is, we have a commission on Black girls that we just created in July, and every program in here that's focused on a particular group of young people. In terms of like the mentoring, I've heard a lot about in this funding cycle, everything has been really focused on black males, and certainly we want to have some programming that will focus on our girls, just for the reasons that you stated.
Absolutely.
So my office will absolutely be in contact with you to learn more about what you're doing in those schools.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. And your grants for $77,712.
Thank you
so much. Okay. The next speaker is Mr. Terry Green from the Think, Make, Live Youth.
Yes.
Correct?
Think, Make, Live Youth. First, I would like to thank President Shannon Hardin, thank President Tyson and President Remy for inviting me to come out and actually speak about Think, Make, Live Youth and our new program that we have launched here called the Columbus Community Action Team. So our program, first off a little bit, Think, Make, Live Youth, we are providing innovative leadership and civic engagement programs to support opportunity youth between the ages of 16 to 24 years old. In America, there's 4.6 million opportunity youth between the ages of 16 to 24 years old who's not working, who's not in school. Right here in Central Ohio, there's over 20,000 young people between the ages of 16 to 24 years old who's not working and who's not in school. Our program focuses on the initiatives advancing economic mobility, leadership development, and equal justice for opportunity youth 16 to 24 years old. Our program provides the opportunity youth to be compensated on special projects and events. That's $15 an hour, where we give our young people to come speak at various community outreach events, gain access to additional employment opportunities, receive civic engagement knowledge, and also community engagement experience. Like I said, there's over 20,000, and so our goal is to work with 100 young opportunity youth by the end of this year to be recruited through our program. We are funded through Opportunity Youth United, which is a national organization based out in Boston, Massachusetts. When we received our 501c3 status, we were nominated to be the first community action team in the state of Ohio. There are 17 community action teams throughout the country, and we are the first here in Ohio. We're also funded through Average Joe's and Nestle's law firm, which is a local law firm here. We're in the process of applying for grant funding through Governor Mike DeWine's office with the faith-based and community initiatives operated and managed through Dr. Michelle Reynolds. Also, we're in the process of applying for funding through the Columbus Foundation with the targeted grants, being connected through that. We also have partnership with Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services, who hosts various meetings that we have with potential stakeholders. We also have partnership with Impact Community Action, who supports us with recruitment for young people to be a part of our program. Again, our program actually is operated after school or during the weekend hours, so giving young people the opportunity to get their community service hours if they're currently in school. We also have a partnership with Starfish Alliance, who also helps us in terms of recruitment and recruiting some of the young people to actually be a part. We also have partnership with Columbus Care Coalition, Columbus Care Coalition allows us to connect with trauma-informed support and also community resources. Also have connections and partnerships with Youth Build Columbus, which is a school that actually helps young people 16 to 24 years old get their GED or high school diploma. Also have partnerships with Daymore College, who connects us to higher education opportunities for young people. We have connections to and partnerships with Average Joe's, who provide free food for all of our youth events and also all our youth meetings. So it's an in-kind partnership through Average Joe's. We also have and just secured a partnership with the Columbus Public Zoo. So the Columbus Public Zoo will be providing employment opportunities, summer employment opportunities for young people that will be going through our program. To hear more about our program, you can visit our website at tmlyouth.org, or we're on Facebook at Think Make Live, or Instagram at tmlyouth. And our next meeting will be 17th of April at 5:30 p.m. We'll be having a presentation by the HR staff from the Columbus Public Zoo.
All right, Mr. Green, thank you. I just have a couple questions. How many people will be will be a part of your program?
So the goal is to recruit 100 young people by the end of this year.
Oh, I guess it's here. I'm sorry. Okay, 100 young people, and okay. And so I'm just trying to make sure I'm clear. So you're having, basically, you'll be mentoring them, helping them to get jobs, and
giving them the opportunity to work on community service projects.
And community service. Okay. Okay. And your grant amount is $65,000. And so the only other question I'll ask, because it says this opportunity, the Opportunity Youth Community Action is a robust, informed, active local coalition of young leaders. That's referring to yourself and other people?
Oh, yeah, we're referring to the young people, myself because I'm young, right? Yes. So a lot of it is going to be for the young people between 16 to 24 years old. So we have been building connections through schools, local schools that work with Opportunity Youth, like I said, Columbus Youth Build, also working with some Columbus City schools. So I got the opportunity to do some mentorship with South High School, speaking at Independence High School, and also being connected through the Be the One program through Walnut Ridge. So being able to have different recruitment strategies from local schools and after-school programs.
And this is open for boys and girls?
Yes.
All right. Okay, Mr. Green, thank you very much. We'll look forward to hearing more about your program and its success. All right. Our next speaker is going to be from the United Way. Is Lisa? I don't think I've seen Lisa. She's not here. So United Way is, okay, so the next speaker then will be Kim Eberts from the Volunteers of America. Kim?
Good evening. I'm actually Sue Ream-Snyder with Volunteers of America.
I'm Kim Evers with Volunteers of America. Yes.
First off, President Hardin, Councilman Member Tyson, and Council Member Remy, we are thrilled to receive additional funding for an issue that we feel strongly about. We work with homeless families that are already linked with our rapid rehousing program. But over the years, we've been a bit frustrated that we don't have additional funding to help families in ways that we feel would end the cycle of homelessness. One of the key strategies to ending homelessness is rapid rehousing, and it is successful. And it quickly moves families from homelessness to permanent housing through rental assistance, utility assistance, and security deposits. Case management provides supportive services to help families find housing and address all the barriers that families have in maintaining their housing, and we often mediate between landlords and tenants. Our Family Access Program, which is a program that is being funded, would enhance our existing services by engaging a new model, which is an employment navigator. The initial focus would be on creating an urgency for rapid rehousing participants to find employment or to get higher paying jobs. Homelessness may be the main issues that our families are facing, but they have needs for childcare, transportation, maybe a criminal record, mental and physical health issues, and bad credit history. An employment navigator will work with the participants to create an individualized career plan, linking people with workforce development agencies and assist them with eliminating employment barriers. It takes a lot of time to apply for a job, to go through the interview process and the background check. So somebody doesn't get go for a job interview one day and the next day have a job. So what we're looking to do is provide some additional rental assistance to these families to keep them more stably housed. In order to break the cycle of homelessness, they need housing, but equally important is their economic stability. The adult population that we plan to serve are between the ages of 25 and 54. 72% of the head of households for our population are females. Right now, 48% of our participants report no income. They say they want to work, 48%. So if you can imagine, we're moving them into apartments and then they have no income. So more support is needed. By allowing us to provide longer-term partial rental assistance, it's a way to incentivize people to stay connected with our program while we're helping them find employment. The program that we're looking at was actually done in the state of Washington over a number of communities, and they had more success with people finding employment and maintaining employment and having some housing stability. Volunteers of America partners with the Community Shelter Board, with HUD, Ohio Department of Developmental Services, mental health and addiction service agencies, as well as local foundations and donors. Some of our other partners include Franklin County Children's Services, the Furniture Bank, the Salvation Army, Impact, the Urban League, Godman Guild, and other workforce development agencies, Ohio Means Jobs. Our proposed project would serve 40 households, and right now we have about 91% success rate in our rapid rehousing. And I think that's about it. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. Sue?
Yes.
I don't have any questions. I think that I appreciate you being innovative. This is a way I do believe that many cities will be going, is trying to provide this partial rental assistance to keep people moving forward, to allow them to, one, even get, if they're going to even provide opportunities for them to stabilize, to try to look for a job, to enhance their skills. These are the kinds of programs that, in supporting that rental assistance, is what other cities are doing around the country. And I know that there's sometimes issues if you're supporting someone in this manner, some people are not necessarily for that idea, but I do but again, just like the program we talked about earlier about providing some skills, like the impact program, that you give the skill, people move up through the program, or the Jewish Family Services program, you have to, that's one. Another is during that, and the impact also pays stipends as our people are getting training and moving forward.
Right.
And in this particular instance, to be able to provide that partial rental assistance is really another way of moving people to stability. And I appreciate that you had that idea and you brought it to this committee, and they are supportive of that. So you mentioned that you're going to hopefully work with 40 households, and you have in the past, and have a 91% success rate, and then this grant's for $175,000.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
We
very much.
appreciate your support.
You're welcome. And let's see, our next speaker is, I don't know, Christy, we have the president and CEO of the YWCA in council chambers, and I had two other people, but you are here, so the floor is yours. Thank you. Our president's here today, and you come up on a really big event next week, and you can be in council chambers.
That's right.
Okay, all
Good.
right.
That's the beauty of great staff who can do it all without me.
Okay, thank you.
Stephanie Reed is not here. She is the director of our children's programs. She took ill and she was in the hospital, so we're giving her some respite and hope that she gets well soon. But I am joined by Paula Reed, who is the program administrator of our 5-star Step Up to Quality Safe and Sound Child Care Program. So thank you, Council President Hardin, Chair Tyson, Councilmember Remy for having us here today, and Christy Angel, YWCA Columbus. Before I let Paula talk a little bit about the details of the program and some of our outcomes and our partnerships, I thought I would first just touch on our numbers and who we plan to serve this year. And I bring this early in the conversation because, as you know, we serve homeless children. And so serving homeless children, you wish that you would never have to really have a child care center that serves homeless children. But as you've heard from some of our system partners previously, homelessness continues to be on the rise and kind of at alarming numbers in our community. We've been in overflow, as you know, Chair Tyson, for more than really 5 years. We've not been out of overflow since 2017, which means we not only have every room full, but people sleeping on cots and mats in our multi-purpose room. And when those families come to us and have children who are between the ages of infancy to kindergarten, we provide child care for them so they can do some of the things that we heard earlier, including what VOA is doing as a system partner. So we serve on an average of about 225 children every year. The numbers ebb and flow based on the homeless families that we have in the center and the ages of the children that they have. And so I'm going to let Paula talk more about the outcomes that we had this past year and what we hope to do with the funds that we would receive this year.
We have been receiving funding from the City of Columbus Human Services Department since 2007. During that time, we have served over 3,500 children in our Safe and Sound Child Care Program. We are a non-traditional child care program that serves homeless children in the YWCA Family Center and the only child care center for homeless children in Central Ohio, meaning for 6 weeks to 13 years, I should say. The work we do is so important to our families as it gives parents the ability to complete housing and employment goals while their children are being cared for in a safe and enriching environment. During 2018, 91% of the families who used the Safe and Sound Child Care Program were successful in finding more stable housing. Children who are homeless face a number of developmental and social-emotional challenges, and our program addresses the needs of the children that we serve through well-planned, developmentally appropriate programming. During 2018, we served a total of 125 children from ages 6 weeks to 5 years alone. 85% of the children who stayed in our program for more than 10 days improved developmentally in 4 target areas, which were self-help and wellness, social-emotional, language and literacy, and gross motor. Your funds the funds that we receive help us leverage support from other organizations. Some of our funding partners include United Way, Franklin County Department of Jobs and Family Services, in which we received the PFCC funds and the TANF funds. Christy mentioned earlier that we are a 5-star. With that 5-star award, that was a 41.5% increase in our tuition. We have a partnership with Child Development Council of Head Start, Honda, Seymour Foundation, and the list can go on. But one of our most valuable resources that comes a little bit different, might not come monetarily, but it's our volunteers. And we definitely want to recognize them because a lot that goes on around the family shelter and what's safe and sound is highly driven by the volunteers that we have. I think we clock over a good 80,000 a year in hours a year just in volunteers for the family shelter. And another thing I want to talk about is the success story of having a partnership like with CDC Head Start. This past January, we had a 3.5-year-old come into our program. She literally had to put her nose almost on the paper just to see. When she's sitting at the lunch table, just to see the food on her plate, she was basically putting her nose down trying to see it. What was there? We immediately made contact with her parent, and she informed us that she had an appointment set up, but it was for April. We immediately gave an application, a Head Start application to this mother, because we knew once we got her signed up, we could have their nurse come and do a screening on her. Not only did this nurse come and do a screening on this 3.5-year-old, she contacted Nationwide Children's Hospital, and through a mutual colleague, she was able to get that parent in less than a month. On top of that, she was able to give this family a coupon, walked this parent through this entire process. Today, this child now, she's still in our program, she has glasses. She's had her glasses for almost 3 weeks now. She's like a brand new child. She's walking around, pointing things out to us that we take for granted, you know, and I'll never forget her first day in the classroom with her glasses. She spent a lot of time over in the dramatic play area looking in our little floor-length mirror because it was just a whole other world for her. So my point of bringing up that success story is that it's more than just a success story. Yes, money matters because we can't do the services without the City of Columbus, as well as all these other wonderful funders. But at the end of the day, money doesn't matter if you're not making an impact. And that's what we do at our Safe and Sound program. Christy also mentioned that we're non-traditional. We're non-traditional and obvious that we're homeless. But if our attitude was that we serve homeless children, we would not have achieved a 5-star status for our center, because our goal is not to serve a stigma, it's to serve people with human dignity. So with that being said, we would like to thank you for your consideration of the Human Service Grant for this year. With the proposed funding, we will continue to provide a high-quality child care for the children and their families, and because the children we serve are experiencing the trauma of homelessness, we will also use these funds to provide more trauma-informed care, social emotional learning, and mental health support. In conclusion, at a time of increasing needs and increased unpredictability for our economy, for our community, and for the people we serve, we ask that the city consider increasing its human service grants from its funding levels of the past several decades. As members of the Human Service Chamber, we are committed to the strength not only of our agency, but of our sector. We have worked hard to meet the needs of our community for over 133 years. And we know the incredible impact we can have if we better invest in the work that needs to be done. So once again, we applaud you guys and thank you so much for allowing us to impact lives.
Thank you, Paula. And again, I know Michael Corey left, but he was in Chambers last night and he spoke last night. And many of the agencies that are part of the Human Service Chamber, which certainly has increased its membership, spoke about the importance of the funding, as we mentioned at the earlier part of this of the hearing. I have just a couple questions. The first, I think you've answered, but 225 children you're looking at on an average, Christy, that's coming through your agency. The other is, tell me, let's talk about the length of time individuals may be within the shelter system utilizing these services.
So, as you know, in years gone by, average stay in the shelter was somewhere between 21 and 24 days. The preference of our major funder, Community Shelter Board, of which you all fund, and HUD, was that we kind of moved families to Next Step Housing and other housing options at about 21 days. Average stay right now is 47 days in shelter. It has been 47 days. I started with the YWCA in December of 2017, and we've been at 47 days since I started. The problem being, it's very difficult to find housing for families at an affordable rate. And transportation is also, another part of that equation. And so when you add the cost of transportation with the cost of housing, many families are housing insecure and unable to find housing. And so we are finding that families are staying with us much, much longer. 47 days is too long, really, for anyone to be in shelter. We are blessed in this community to offer the kind of shelter that we offer, but we always remind people that being homeless is traumatic, and shelter is community living. And so, it takes its toll on our families and our children.
And the other question I was going to ask, so a child may be in the shelter for 47 days with a child and a parent.
Correct.
And then, because of you have a Step Up to Quality 5-star rating, and so that parent then leaves the shelter, and now this child is they're not going to be in your program any longer.
They have the ability to stay with us for up to a year.
Yes. Some of our families they either come with a job, some of our families come with jobs. So what we do is we put them on a traditional PFC application, which means that when they exit the family shelter, their children can still remain in the child care program.
And that's
then try
great.
to link them to other star-rated programs in the community in which they're going to live or near the neighborhood in which they're going to live. So we identify available child care for them if they don't find that our child care is still suitable for them.
Upon location, et cetera.
Correct.
All right, because of obviously, if you got a 5-star and just looking at your enthusiasm, Ms. Neal, I'm sure that the families like their kids being with you. But again, making.
An awesome team too.
And I can tell every time you come here, you're.
And a fearless leader here.
So, and that is important. I mean, where our kids go. I mean, for those who have had children and the kids are way past that stage, where they get those services is critically important. And so I'm glad to hear that you're transitioning them to another facility that maybe have a similar rating or for their children to go there. So, thank you. All right. So your grant is to support those 225 children in that are homeless. $266,653.
Correct.
That's the amount for our children.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have the Center for Healthy Family, and then we have the Breathing Association, and then we'll have we have two, I think, speakers, or just one speaker that will be here, and then we'll move fast because I have to leave for that speaker, so we'll get this moving along. So the Center for Healthy Family. All right. So
good afternoon, everyone. Council Member Tyson and Councilmember Remy and the staff. Thank you so much this afternoon for the opportunity as well as your time to speak today. My name is Nicole Harris, and I'm the Director of Programs at the Center for Healthy Families. And behind me, I have our administrative and our clinical staff who support our daily efforts and provide direct services to the families that we serve. We serve pregnant and parenting teens. So our vision is that all teen parents and their children will have the support and skills to be healthy, safe, and secure, to be effective, responsible, and to be financially self-sufficient and productive community members. As a powerful voice and advocate for teen parents, the Center for Healthy Families is changing the way our community responds to teen parents. By integrating and coordinating existing resources for teen parents, the center is providing access and utilization of existing services. Our purpose is to break that cycle of the disadvantage that teen childbearing perpetrates through a holistic, coordinated, and system of support. The center integrates the services of the community's most trusted and effective youth-serving organizations, providing systemic responses to teen parenting, a support system focused not only on the single aspect of teen parenting, but a comprehensive, individualized approach responding to the need for each teen parent and their family to reach social and economic self-sufficiency. For the first time in our community, the Center for Healthy Families provides an infrastructure or virtual umbrella to bring together in single systems the key agencies that serve pregnant and parenting teens and their children. The goals for the Center for Healthy Families include that teens will avoid a subsequent pregnancy. In our program, that's 8 out of 10. To help teen parents complete their education, 9 out of 10 parents graduate and go on to the workforce in our program. To help teen parents make a successful transition to adulthood, to prepare teens to be responsible parents of the next generation, and to prepare the children of teen parents for school. Our staff are all licensed clinicians who additionally are trained in trauma-informed care and safe sleep. We know that those skills are necessary because teen pregnancy is not just a symptom of what is occurring in the families that we serve. Each participant is administered the ACEs, which is the Adverse Child Experiences Screener, and we currently are in 6 local high schools providing group services, and we're looking to expand our services with the help of our partners. We have local partnerships that allow us to administer the Holistic Student Assessment and the DESA, which look at the social emotional learning, identify strengths, but also opportunities that will allow us to support the participants. The funds, we hope, will provide the opportunity to continue our services, as well as begin home visiting services in the community, targeting infant and maternal health and improving those outcomes. We recognize that the need for service outweighs our demands for the available funding. And some of our partners are Ohio Health, Franklin County Children's Services, the Franklin County Department of Family and Children's Services, the Center for Family Safety and Healing, the Wexner Medical Center, Moms to Be Program, the Columbus Urban League, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Impact, Directions for Youth and Families, Columbus City Schools, Whitehall Schools, Reynoldsburg Schools, Communities in Schools, the Community Shelter Board, Huckleberry House, Star House, and many more. One of the things they can do is access through partner referrals that I named, also nurse and school social worker referrals, self-referral by teens, word of mouth, children's services, their caseworkers and teams can refer to us, as well as other community organizations. We're located at 500 South Front Street, and our telephone number is 614-884-4200. Thank you for your time today. Do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Harris. And so you just mentioned that this grant will assist with your home visiting services. Is that correct?
Allowing us to expand our home visiting services and continue the services we currently provide.
All right, and how many people will you be serving with this grant?
Our goal is to be able to serve 300 in our Healthy Families Connection for individual services, 50 in our group services, and then add an additional 50 families through our home visiting services program.
Thank you. Well, certainly you've been a partner with our city and especially the work in terms of infant mortality and Celebrate One. And we thank you for the work that you're doing in our community to work with our pregnant and parenting teen mothers and fathers, and those ages that you're focused on are from 13 to 21. Yes. Thank you for your leadership. Appreciate all of you who are standing here today, and your grant amount is $100,000.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. The final presentation will be from the Breathing Association. Good evening, Joanne. How are you?
I'm well. Good evening to you. I wasn't sure whether I should say good afternoon, but it is after 5:30.
It's evening now, I think, yes.
Well, thank you so much for having me today and for the work that went into evaluating the reams of proposals by very worthy organizations. The Breathing Association is not as old as the YWCA, but we've been privileged to serve this community for 112 years. And in that time, as our mission evolved and our name from treating people with tuberculosis to today's lung health challenges, the real focus of the work that we do really is to help people breathe better, We like to say that we're hoping to help people experience better breathing for better lives. Every one of us in this room has either experienced lung health challenges, knows a loved one that has, a family member, a spouse, and it's easy to breathe when you can, but when you can't, it's challenging. So we're very privileged to be here today to be able to share the work that we're doing. The services that we've provided for more than a century have typically been provided not only at a headquarters, which we still have today, but also we take our services right into the community. And that's critically important because we know there are barriers to health care and to moving your life forward. Access to care isn't just an insurance card. It means that you can get a care provider that will work with you, teach you, connect you with other services. So in the free health care that we provide, the free medications, the free supplies, and the education and/or the connections to other services, the work that we're doing through our mobile clinic and through our stationary clinic at our headquarters on Old Henderson Road is giving people the chance to not only address a current crisis, but also economic stability and resiliency. On average, research shows that about $375 is the value for a person that's getting health care. And if you're living on fixed income, you don't have that kind of funding, nor might you have the ability to cover an expensive copay. In addition to that, a typical patient will receive about over $500 in medical prescriptions, samples, and other assistance. We don't just give a patient a piece of paper, I'm a nurse, and send them on their way. We make the call, we're the advocate to make certain they're getting that medication, whether it's a stopgap because they are just out of prison and we're working with Impact, one of our community partners, but also to make certain they have it to go forward. So individuals that come in through our service array, which is the Energy Assistance Program, they automatically qualify for free health care. If they can get to us at our current location, we can follow them up in the neighborhoods where they live through our medical mobile unit, which visits over 30 different local organizations throughout the community in the highest poverty zip codes in our community so that they can receive the services where they need. But it also helps because they're getting other services through our constituent partners as well as health care or social services from us, thereby breaking down barriers. If one more patient or customer that I see has to stand in a line, fill out another form, wait for Tuesday, it's only allowed in this zip code. And we expect people to continue to move their lives forward when they're living in crisis. It's crazy. So the model of bringing the mobile medical unit into their neighborhoods through our strategic partnerships is helping to break those barriers. We know that people that do visit and get their care in a mobile unit can oftentimes experience lower emergency room visits, which by far are far more expensive, also fewer hospitalizations and readmissions, and thereby having higher number of days when they're symptom-free. If you can't breathe, you can't work. If you can't breathe, how do you study if you're a child? How do you rest? How do you sleep? So through the Energy Assistance Program, which on average is helping about 17,000 individuals a year, that is the gateway for people to come to us, and then through our case managers, we're looking to see what other services do they need. We are probably helping between 1,000 to 1,200 people a year in the medical mobile unit or in the clinic, and then the opportunity there is to then follow them. Should they not have health care, primary health care, we refer them. Should they need other services, they're referred for those as well. Partners, Franklin County Senior Options, Ohio Development Services Agency, Franklin County Health Department through the Community Cessation Initiative, the Healthcare Collaborative of Greater Columbus, to name a few, a myriad of wonderful local-based corporations and other foundations, and several of the partner agencies that have spoken to you today and or yesterday, including Impact, NEMAP, Goodwill, Jewish Family Services, Gladden Community House, the Columbus Urban League, and the Charitable Pharmacy are also organizations that we work with. While our partners also might include Helping Hands Health Center and Wellness Center for individuals that we aren't qualified to care for, we also work with them in a way that we can help individuals that can't receive our care. We thank you for your time. I know I'm the last one. I'll wrap it up, and I appreciate the clock. My first time before you. Thank you for your support. Any questions?
No questions. Thank you so much for your work. I appreciate the partnerships. I'm glad you mentioned the charitable pharmacy, since you were just mentioning about individuals not having the resources to pay for their medication. You're absolutely right. You're going to serve between 1,000 and 1,200 people, and the services are free, and your grant amount is $100,000.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joanne. And we will now, this is the time we have one speaker to give testimony, and I am going to go out of the room, and Councilmember Remy is going to hear the testimony, and then I'll come back and wrap up the meeting. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Today we have one speaker. It is Phil Nunez with Alvis House. If you come to the mic, state your name and the organization you represent, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you so much, Councilman Remy, for allowing me to testify this evening. My name is Phil Nunes. I'm Chief Operating Officer of Alvis. Alvis is a nonprofit human service agency that was founded in 1967. Our line of services are community and residential reentry programs for individuals with criminal justice involvement, integrated behavioral health and substance abuse treatment, programs for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and treatment and support programs for families. I'm here today to talk about our workforce development services. For 5 years, the City of Columbus provided about $200,000 a year to help Alvis provide highly specialized workforce development services for justice-involved individuals. Last year, our Community Reentry Center worked to connect more than 800 individuals to employers. Alvis is a nationally recognized industry leader in providing specialized workforce development services. As a matter of fact, our CEO and President, Denise Robinson, will be attending at the invitation of the Department of Labor Director in D.C. on Monday to actually highlight our reentry programs, and especially around workforce development. Every year that Alvis has received funding from the City of Columbus, our HIRE, which stands for Help in Reentry Education, program has exceeded the performance measures established by the City of Columbus. Last year, the program exceeded its 80% graduation rate. Obviously, Alvis was concerned that the program was not funded at any level for 2019, despite this program's exemplary track record and the fact that Alvis has been an original and ongoing partner in the groundbreaking Restoration Academy program. The need for these services in our community is overwhelming. Columbus mirrors the nation in having a workforce and poverty problem directly tied to individuals with justice involvement. 90% of employers conduct criminal background checks on their job applicants, and a criminal record on any sort can reduce the likelihood of a job offer by 50%. To address this, Alvis prepares clients to honestly discuss their convictions with potential employers, and we work tirelessly with employers to help them understand what great skills and services motivation our clients can bring to their business. Our skills certification programs can make hiring our clients critically important to the economic welfare of a business and to our community. Without funding from Columbus, Alvis will not be able to continue to help solve the dueling economic challenges of barriers to employment and shortages of skilled workers. At a time of increasing needs and increased unpredictability of our economy, for our community and for the people we serve, we believe it is imperative that the city significantly increase its human service grants from its funding levels of the past several decades. As a member of the Human Service Chamber, we are committed to the strength not only of our agency, but our sector, and we have worked hard to meet the needs of our community over the last 50 years. And we know the incredible impact we can have if we better invest in the work that needs to be done. Once again, I'd like to thank Councilman Remy for listening to my concerns and the opportunity to testify, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Nunez. What was your request this year for funding?
The request was for continuation funding in the amount of $200,000.
Well, we certainly appreciate all the work that you do within the community. Obviously, there were some tough decisions that had to be made, but this council does stand committed to try to find other resources as we move forward, and certainly we do have a great need, as the chair has mentioned over the last couple of days, Chair Tyson. The needs are significant, and they are far greater than the resources that the city can provide, but we all need to work together to try to come up with solutions that help those most in need. So certainly appreciate you coming down and giving testimony today, and we'll continue the dialogue and the discussion.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And I am not much for entertaining while we wait for the chair to come back. I could sing, it might. But we do thank everyone for their testimony today. It's been enlightening to hear all of the great committees or the organizations and the work that's being done around the city. And so certainly appreciate everybody's time. And the chair has returned. Nice to see you, Chair Tyson.
Thank you, Councilmember Remy. Thank you for being here for the hearing this evening. And before we adjourn, I want to again thank the leadership, staff, and volunteers of all the organizations who have joined us today. And never forget that you are really doing some of the most notable work that people can do, and that is in the service of others. I'm deeply grateful for each and every one of you for your compassion, your tenacity, and ultimately making our community a better place for individuals to live in. The next step in this process is for City Council to vote on the legislation to fund programs that are recommended for the 2019 Human Services Program. As we conclude, I also want to thank the following people for their work. Director Shoney and Kim Stans from the Department of Development, and I see Hannah Reed is in chambers, and also my fellow council members and their staff who work hard each and every day to work for the residents of our city, the professionals at CTV who work so hard to prepare for and to broadcast these committee hearings. Chris Maitland, who's from our Legislative Research Office, I want to thank him for helping to staff our committee, my team, Nicole Harper and Carl Williams. And lastly, most of all, I'd like to thank all the residents of the City of Columbus. And this concludes our hearing for this evening. Have a safe trip home. Thank you.